Hi guys, this week we're going to be talking about solar and lunar eclipses, and we're going to be able to describe exactly what happens by the end of the week. So this slide is actually just where I'm going to place the video, so it's just a placeholder for now. The first thing that we want to talk about is that the moon's path around the Earth is not flat. It is actually a tilt. So you can see from the diagram that right here, this big X, that's because that is not it. The Earth and moon actually are hanging out at a tilt. So sometimes the moon blocks the sun, sometimes the Earth blocks the sun. Both of those are eclipses. Okay, there's two kinds. You have your solar and your lunar. Both of these images, though, represent a total solar eclipse right here and then a total lunar eclipse. All right. A total solar eclipse happens when the moon passes directly between the Earth and the sun. So it can only happen when the moon is a new moon. They're rare and about twice a year. Now, that twice a year does not mean that it is for us. It means that for the solar eclipse somewhere on Earth, it happens about twice a year, but not everybody can see them. Okay, so only the locations that fall in the actual shadow of the moon are able to see the total solar eclipse. So in this GIF that's right here, you can see this is the moon's shadow. So only the people that are in that moon shadow can see a total solar eclipse. The outer edges you can see are lighter, so those guys are actually going to see a partial eclipse. This diagram shows it a little bit better. So that tiny little dot, do you guys see it? That tiny little dot right there? That is the path of the people that can see a total eclipse. The lighter shadow area, they'll see a partial solar eclipse. Again, those only the people in the very tiny black dot right there that's coming around, those are the only people that can see a total solar eclipse. Okay, it has to be lined up just right in order for it to even happen. So again, this GIF is showing a total solar eclipse. It is not showing a partial. But when you see the disk surrounded by what's called the corona, not to be confused with the corona. That's actually what this is called around the sun, is called the corona, I promise. But when you see that, that's because the Earth or the sun's light's kind of flaring around it. Okay, a lunar eclipse occurs during a full moon. And what happens is you have the Earth and the sun is projecting light like it always does. But then the moon happens to fall in the Earth's shadow. This happens a little bit more often, even though they're still rare. When that happens, though, you'll see a red moon. So this shift just shows how it's all lined up kind of magically. So as the moon travels through this space right here, the darker part of the Earth's shadow, you'll see a total lunar eclipse. As it passes through the lighter part, you get a partial. During a lunar eclipse, that the Earth blocks some or all of the light. So see, that's total right here, how it's red. So this is actually the shadow of the Earth moving away and blocking part of the light. So you have your red moon and then the light starts reaching the moon. So you'll see kind of what looks like all of the different phases at one time. Again, the moon appears red because the light is scattered in the Earth's atmosphere and it kind of changes what we see on the color spectrum. All right, so this slide you can either print or just copy down on a piece of paper. This is going to be your saving grace for this week. This is a very, very short notes slide. It's a very quick summary of what's happening, but you're going to need to write down that the moon revolves the Earth on a tilt, because that's super important, that tilt, which is, again, why we don't see a solar and a lunar eclipse every single month. Then I want you to write down solar eclipses along with these two bullet points. Remember that it only occurs during a new moon when the moon is between the Earth and the sun, and it only happens when it's lined up just right. Only the people in the shadow of the moon can actually see any part of the eclipse. and you have to be in the tiny, darkest part of the shadow to see a total solar eclipse. For a lunar eclipse, again, it only occurs during a full moon when it's lined up just right. And then the Earth is actually blocking the light from the sun to the moon, and the light reflecting off the particles in the atmosphere is what makes the moon look red. Okay, so you're going to copy down this slide. And then when you're done, there's a quizzes link in Google Classroom that you can play. This right here, students who earn a 100 get 5 bonus points on this week's graded assignment. So make sure that you are taking the time to do this properly, because the whole point is for you to learn, not for you to just remember and forget in 2 seconds, okay? All right, have fun.